Christmas
The
time.
ugliest fucking thing I've ever seen. He's paying for that today. World class, yeah.
So, this is episode number 43. I did not write down the date, but it was, as I learned quickly, very, very early in the 1980s, long before the territory really caught fire. It's actually funny. I mentioned this to Craig on the way up here. You sent out a text this afternoon saying, hey, let's watch this particular World Class episode. I said, all right. And I sat down to turn it on right before I came out here. And I realized that when I first got the network, I had turned this show on. Thankfully, the first time I did not pay close attention, because this is not a show that warranted 2 viewings. So the hosts of the show were Bill Mercer and a man named Jay Saldy.
Oh boy, here we go. Actually, before we go any further, Vinny, just so you know, when you go home, Jeff just emailed, and he says that if you go through all of the steps for the Xbox that were posted on the front page a couple of days ago, and you reinstall the app, they'll all the WCW and ECW pay-per-views should have their own icon to the right of the old school icon. So he says
done everything except reinstalling the app.
He says it is completely fixed if you follow all those steps and reinstall the app.
The glee on Vinny's face right now.
So go home and try that, and then get back to us.
I'll check that out. So they got this guy, Jay Saldy. I never
You know
heard
who
of
this
him.
is, right?
I do now.
Yeah.
I had to look it up. He was a football player. Is that who he is?
Oh, yeah.
Or is there more than that?
Well, he is a football player, yes.
Okay. So, yeah, I had never heard of him before. But they mentioned, he had a teammate there. I'll get to that in a second. So I had to look it up. I never heard of this guy. Played 10 years in the league, 7 years in Dallas. So, legit. But, and he's in Dallas, so the fans all knew him. But he's on this show, and he was really bad. He was very bad at television. Just a very wooden man. Didn't have a lot to say. And right at the very start of the show, he calls out Harvey Martin, who was a teammate with the Cowboys. And I think he was in the WrestleMania 2 Battle Royal.
Overflowing with charisma, this guy.
In 4 seconds of screen time, he completely overshadowed this man.
Yeah.
And then he left. I was like, no! Bring back Harvey Martin.
Yeah. I got to say, Joe Saldy, when he's standing there with Bill Mercer at the beginning and the end of the show, it's so unbelievably bad.
Yes.
You ask him a question, and he just bumbles out an answer, completely out to lunch. But there were moments when I was watching the matches, and I was like, God damn, this guy is not bad at all. The thing with this Jay Saldy fella, he was a Dallas Cowboy who grew up a big wrestling fan. He's like a giant wrestling fan. And you could tell listening on commentary because he talks about Andy Kaufman, the pile driver, and everything like that.
Yep.
Obviously, he was a huge fan. He followed wrestling. But apparently they never really smartened him up. And so when he did commentary, he would call it like he would give his real thoughts about everything. So he would get pissed off about certain things. He hated disqualifications. And he would rant about this and that, the Von Erich's temper got the best of him, which apparently Fritz hated when he would bring that up. So he had his strengths and his weaknesses, but at the end of the day, God, that stuff at the end is just horrible. Just standing there, he's 9 feet tall. Bill Mercer throws him a question. He answers it I'm trying to think of who's the most wooden guy in WWE, but he answered it basically
no one
that.
can touch him.
He's only there for a short period of time.
Good.
Yeah. It's Jay Saldy.
This is actually the 3rd episode of World Class I've watched, ever.
Yeah.
Just in the last week, Ed wanted to do a show on the cage door incident. So this is only the 3rd time I've ever seen a complete WCCW show, except for maybe on compilation tapes and things like that. But I was thoroughly entertained.
It's great.
Yeah.
What about that opening theme?
Awesome.
I like the graphics.
The graphics are also
the
great.
Graphics, they plug matches by saying South Seas versus probably the Orient, or whatever it was.
By the way, one other thing about Saldy real quick, then I'll let you get going. In the credits at the end, there's a Tom Saldy, I believe.
I think I saw that too, yeah.
That's listed as a grip. So did Jay Saldy get his brother a job? If anybody knows, let me know. Go ahead, Craig.
I was going to say, we didn't get World Class up here. we had Portland, and looking back at, when I used to watch Portland, it looks a lot like Portland wrestling, the same.
I think they all
Hammer
genres
drill.
look the same.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of cool as a comparison.
What was funny was I remember we did not get world class, but we got like legends of world class at a time when world class was still around. We could watch like 3-year-old world
Living
class.
legends, dude, up and down the card.
No, not like living legends. I mean like 3-year-old episodes.
I see.
It's very odd. All right, so David Von Erich came out. He cut a very quick promo saying they knew someone had put a bounty on Kerry's head, but they couldn't prove it yet.
No, he said he had proof. He just wasn't going to reveal the proof yet.
I see.
He was certain, he said.
Opening match was David Von Erich versus Captain Frank Dusek.
This is awesome.
A couple of things. They announced David as 6'7". Generous. Very generous. Solid E talked about Dusek going on a successful tour of the Orient.
Yeah.
I am skeptical. You probably read that in an Aftermag, and there you go. So, this
what about
match,
his Pink Panther robe?
Oh, that was awesome.
Frank Dusek got a Pink Panther robe. So, these two guys had a very sloppy... That's all I can say. It was a very, very sloppy match.
David was awful in this match.
Dusek was no better.
Slow motion.
The knee strike he hit, it was a textbook example of how not to hit a knee strike. It was like, I can't even describe it. Then they go to the corner and they're doing these horrible punches. But there was some kind of a charm about this.
You know what it was? I'll tell you what it was, because I thought about it watching this match. The actual wrestling was not very good.
No.
Is quite bad, actually.
It was.
But you know what? There was something in this match that I really miss about old wrestling that you just will not see anywhere. And that is everything that Frank Dusek did. Frank Dusek knew that he was the heel. And, nowadays, a lot of guys, what does it mean to be a heel? Well, you're the bad guy. And you wrestle the good guys. And every now and then you yell at the people. You know what I mean? It's very simplistic. But back here, what I thought was the very best part of this match is Frank Dusek and David Von Erich. I can't remember what the spot was. But in the middle, just out of nowhere. What's so funny, Craig?
Someone has found a picture of Big Show in a video game and put it next to the picture that Craig just took of me.
Oh, no.
There's a striking similarity.
Is it a spitting image? Okay, Peter here says, tell Vinny I've confirmed the Xbox fix.
That's important.
All right, let me see this picture. That's you. I am retweeting this.
Oh, I already did.
All right. Now, everyone shut up so I can continue my story.
Talk about Frank Dusek.
Yes.
Frank Dusek, in the middle of this match, reaches into David Von Erich's waistband, and he just grabs his trunks. And he doesn't grab his trunks to, throw him into anything.
Yes.
But the point is that you're not supposed to grab the trunks, and Frank Dusek grabbed them just for the hell of it.
Because he's evil.
Because he's bad.
Yes.
Because he just wanted to break the rules. He didn't need to break the rules.
Right.
He wasn't using them for any purpose. But goddamn it, trunks are there, so I'm going to grab them. You know what I mean? And that was his whole match. It was just Frank Dusek was like, everything he did was an unlikable guy. And then David Von Erich, everything he did was a likable guy. And ever since probably the NWO, I don't know when it started, when all of a sudden, if you were a heel, you also tried to be really cool, and it just fucking ruined wrestling. But this was the way it was supposed to be. It was all the little things in the middle of an awful match. There were these fun little things that made this entertaining to me.
There were no blurred lines. There were bad guys were bad guys and good guys
One guy was
were good
bad,
guys.
one guy was good, and he was going to be bad just because he could.
Yep.
So I will say the finish was fantastic. They're having this brawl in the corner, and the ref tries to pull Dusek off. And Dusek gets pissed, and he turns to the ref, and he takes a swing at him. And the ref ducks, pops up, and slaps him in the face. And Dusek turns around, and David hits a small package, and the ref counts 3.
I did laugh uproariously.
That
at
was
this finish.
fantastic. So, yes, sloppy as all hell. They were also... it was sloppy as all hell, but they were doing stuff, you know? They were trying.
They
just
tried.
failed.
David, it was just horrendous in this match. That's all there was to it. And then, speaking of Craig's graphics, coming up next, tag team action.
Yes.
That's what it said.
And
boy, was it.
That's accurate. It was Jose Lothario and Al Madril versus Magic Dragon and Checkmate. So you had Jose Lothario from Mexico. Al Madril, they said, was from L.A. Checkmate, they said, was from the Isle of Man.
Tony Charles.
That's who Checkmate was?
Yes.
And Magic Dragon, I believe they said was from, I forget where he was from. It was not Japan. And they also had a manager, Arman Hussein, billed from Sudan.
The Magic Dragon was this dude, Kazuharu Sanada. And apparently the story is that he was flying a plane. I forget whose plane it was. But the guy had told him, you can fly my plane back for your honeymoon. And I guess he was heading to Africa, and the plane went down in the ocean, never found him.
That sucks.
Yeah.
So, Al Madril, I mentioned him earlier. Al Madril was on Portland Wrestling a lot. And this is obviously a few years earlier. He had a mustache and poofy hair that got wider and wider the farther he got from the top of his head. I was trying to figure out who this looked like. I was staring at him, and I finally figured it out. There's a show I've only seen a couple times, but it's called Metalocalypse. It has a band called Death Clock. And Death Clock, one of the members of Death Clock, is named William Murderface. And if you Google a picture of William Murderface, that's Al Madril.
Al Madril also had Manny Fernandez's hair.
You know, okay.
Sure.
I don't remember what Manny Fernandez looked like, actually.
Okay.
So, Jose Lothario trained Shawn Michaels. Fascinating backstories about all of these men. Did a tag match that went forever. Bugsy McGraw was at ringside in a top hat selling concessions. They kept cutting to him for no reason.
I thought he was Willy Wonka.
A top hat, no sleeves, like hugging children and selling candy.
Best part of this match was there was a hot tag to Lothario and Checkmate. And both partners are crawling to the corner. They make the hot hand. Jose and Checkmate jump in the ring. They look at each other.
Yes.
And then Jose's like, I will punch you now. Yeah. It's like, did both of you forget the spot at the exact same time?
I believe he did.
That was the worst hot tag I've ever seen.
It was not very good. So Checkmate had a spot he did more than once, where whenever he was in trouble, he would drop to his knees and cover up his head and curl up into a ball on the mat. And Lothario never knew what to do. He would try to grapple him, but there was nothing to grab. He would stand up and shrug, and when he did that, Checkmate would pop up and hit him.
Just turtled up.
Happened over and over. So they fought, and they fought, and they fought. And at some point, they announced there were 2 minutes left, and I said, well, I see where this is going. And sure enough, they fought some more. And 20 minutes is, even back in the day, it was not a super long match, but Bronco Lubitsch was the ref. And at some point, he gave up on even dropping down to count pins. He was just going down to one knee. And finally, Madril tried a sunset flip, but the time ran out, and that was it.
The best part about this match is when I fell asleep and woke up with Ric Flair.
So you're the guy.
With Ric Flair cutting a promo.
You're the guy JBL was talking about.
You might be.
What do you mean you fell apart? This match was fun.
I fell asleep.
All action. They never
honest.
lost the crowd. 10 hot tags. What more can you ask for? You know what I did like about Bronco, aside from him not even bothering to get to his knees? I liked that they did a spot where the heels did that old school switch behind the referee's back. And Bronco was like, no way, fucker.
Yeah.
Get out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the referee should have credibility. You can't make your referee always look like an idiot.
They weren't wearing matching costumes.
So it was
One
great.
was clad all in white, one was clad all in black.
They should have the referee catch the heels more often. Because then you get real heat when the heels get away with it.
We had an interview with Ric Flair from a Kansas City TV station. He was wearing a suit.
God, this was great.
If you've never seen classic Ric Flair, this is classic Ric Flair. He's got a suit on, hair all white and done up.
Ray-Bans.
Fresh, giant, colossal Ray-Bans, gig marks on his head, and he was very low-key. He was not screaming about styling, profiling, and Learjets. He was just being the world champion, sitting there doing a television interview. So he said he'd heard about Kerry's injury at the hands of the Great Kabuki. Said it was a tragedy, but if Kerry wasn't tough enough for the sport, he should stay home. Awesome.
He was such a great prick.
Yeah. The interviewer said, the Von Erichs believe you paid Kabuki $10,000 to take out Von Erich. And Flair was appalled at this. Why? Not because putting a bounty on someone was a low-down, sleazy, dirty thing to do and beneath him. No. He was appalled they thought he would spend a paltry sum of $10,000 on anything. Ric Flair spends $100,000 when he goes to Safeway. $10,000. Come on now. So he finally said, I should add, before and after this, there were some minor video quality issues, just like blurring of the screen. It wasn't a big deal. But they put up a graphic on the bottom that just said, "Stay tuned, image will improve, and it is too good to miss."
Footage too good to miss.
Yes. So finally he said that the people of Texas thought Kerry was great, but he was not in Flair's class, and he offered to fight Von Erich at any time. Hallelujah! It was amazing.
Remember where I just went on for 30 minutes about how awesome Shawn Michaels was the other day?
Yeah.
I still think that in the ring, Shawn Michaels was maybe the best of all time. But as far as, like, the best world champion, it's nobody better than Ric Flair.
Oh, no.
Ric
Ever.
Flair was the best in the world at playing the champion of the world. And it was so great. I mean, how many times have we talked about scripted promos? But this was not a scripted promo. Ric Flair knew his character so well that you could interview him on 60 Minutes for an hour.
Yes.
And he could go for 60 minutes, and he'd be awesome every minute of those 60 minutes. And it's funny because there was another guy on this show that did a promo. It was at the very end of the show. Bill Irwin. Holy fuck, what a terrible promo. But, I watched it, and I was like, nowadays, if you had a Bill Irwin, you'd go, this guy can't talk. Let's write him a bunch of shit to read or to recite.
Yeah.
He'd never get any better.
Right.
Right? So, back in the day, if you couldn't cut a promo, you just kept trying. And eventually, most guys could cut decent promos. Ric Flair was the best of them all. But, I don't know. I just think scripting prevents people from getting any better.
I don't see any benefit to it.
Nobody was better at being the champ than Flair.
We had Grand Marcus 2 versus the Samoan.
Yes. Samu of the Head Shrinkers. That's who it was.
I looked that up, too. They never mentioned it, although what's the guy's name? Saldi said that he's, he said he was the son and nephew of the Samoans. Never said Alpha and Sika, but he said the Samoans, and here he is, the Samoan.
I thought it was funny, too, when he was the Samoan, and then they talked about his relatives, and they were in a tag team called the Samoans.
Not a lot of creativity.
No. I love when they said his goal was to make 290 and maybe 300. Talk about overshooting your target.
Wow. Well, he did here.
He was very skinny.
Let's review this man's. You thought he was skinny?
It's pretty skinny for a Samoan.
He was not
true.
He was not fat. I thought he looked huge and muscular. I mean, a cut, but remember, my first time seeing this guy was when I was 11 or 12, and he was in the Islanders with Haku, and they were fighting Bundy and Studd. So I thought he was tiny. So I turned on this and see the Samoan. I realized who he is, and I thought, he looks huge. He was less than 20 years old. He's also apparently Rikishi's brother. Well, obviously, Rikishi's twin brother was the news, which is amazing because he had twin brothers who almost never actually teamed up. So it was a short match. Wasn't much to it. Marcus won with a backsplash.
It's funny, too. They spent all that time building up the Samoan, and then the other guy won.
Well, young guy.
What are you going to do?
Just getting started.
He was, yeah.
Hey, it might have been Jay Saldi building him up. He didn't know what was happening.
That actually, it was.
There you go.
Roberto Ernesto versus Michael Hayes in the main event.
Roberto?
That's what they said. Why? What do you think he said?
Oh, you're looking at me.
I don't know. Go on. I don't think it was Roberto Ernesto.
That's what the announcer said.
God damn it.
Look it up.
We're watching the network. Put it on. So we were talking about
It is Roberto.
the Samoan.
What the hell did I think it was?
I don't know.
Why are you asking us?
I don't know.
Talking about the Samoan and how he is a twin brother. I believe Roberto Ernesto is a twin brother, and his name is Ron Jeremy. Look just like him.
The hedgehog.
Yes. So
Which
Michael,
one did he see?
this was strange. Michael Hayes in Dallas.
The Great Ernesto. That's what they called him.
That's a huge difference.
Great and Roberto are, in fact, a giant difference.
So Hayes is a total babyface here. It was very odd to see this, and it was especially weird because he was still being, he's on the network right now. He was still being Michael Hayes. He was rubbing his chest hair. He was gyrating and peeling his robe off. And there was one guy dead center front row. And this all made him so uncomfortable. He did not like to see a grown man be this sexual, frankly. So, match is short. He won with a pile driver. Michael Hayes did, not the great Ernesto. And Ernesto tried to attack him afterwards, but Hayes had a backdrop and sent him running.
Ernesto. Not Ernesto.
What did I say?
Ernesto.
What is it?
Ernesto.
Oh. Okay, that is not a big difference. I will give you the great and Roberto are different.
Okay.
Ernesto and Renesto are not that different.
Sure.
So, Hayes cut his promo, and I know we talked about Ric Flair. Ric Flair was the best world champion ever. That's true. Hayes' promo on this show was better than Flair's promo on the show. Called himself Twisted Steel and Sex Appeal, and that one poor guy in the front row just didn't know what to do. Talked about Bad Street. Said we'd sold out the Superdome, we've sold out the Omni, and now we're here in Texas. And Terry Gordy's coming in, and he's 6'5", a romping, stomping, mud snorting, whatever the hell he said. Said he grew up on the wrong side of the tracks and getting in trouble. Now we get paid to get in trouble. It was awesome.
You're a young Michael Hayes right now.
I'm sure I am.
Mud snorting.
I may have been in there. He may have said that.
This Michael Hayes fella. You know what Michael Hayes? Michael Hayes is like a. You know what, Vinny? Michael Hayes should be your idol.
How so?
I'm listening.
This is a guy. You ever been on the internet and there's like have women fall for you instantly? Miracle, whatever, blah, blah. And there's a picture of a guy who's just like ripped to shreds. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Michael Hayes is like, he had skinny arms, skinny legs, like just a wide torso, not really all that good looking at all, really. And that hair, just this preposterous blonde hair. But he was like so charismatic that the women are just going nuts for him. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like, when WWE's talking about who's the face of the, they're always talking about Randy Orton. You know what I mean? If you build a sports entertainer from the ground up, he would look like Randy Orton. You know who doesn't look like Randy Orton? Fucking Michael Hayes. Looks nothing like what you would picture a sex symbol to look like. But he's so just filled with charisma that these women are swooning and falling down as this weird-looking guy walks by. It's amazing.
You know, they say that women love confidence.
Well, this fucking guy,
I'll tell you what,
should be your
So as an example.
Pattern yourself after this guy.
Sure.
That's for everybody out there. Instead of going to the internet and clicking on that link to find out how to make the ladies fall for you, just go watch some World Class and learn from Michael Hayes.
Yeah, swivel your hips, tell him you're from Planet Rock.
Don't shave your chest or any part of your body.
You.
Pull your tights up a little too high. Swivel.
Split the boys.
Everyone pull your tights up high.
Yes.
That's how you will get women.
Apparently Michael Hayes had it down to a science. This goddamn thing's rode up so high.
Split the twins.
Man,
One on each side.
that's pretty amazing.
Thank you, Craig. So that match ended, and they still had like 3 minutes of TV time. So it's Salty and the hell's the guy's name? Mercer. They're just plugging next week's show. Gonna have Al Madrill versus Kabuki. Kerry Von Erich interview. See how he's doing from his injury. Salty said that Gordy would be there next week. Mercer says, "Oh no, not next week.
That's right.
He won't be here that soon. He's on his way." And
I think it was Kabuki's plane, by the way, that
Dragon was on.
yeah.
Yeah. So Bill Irwin arrived to cut a promo on Michael Hayes. I didn't think it was that bad. It was not good. He said he was going to send him.
I just watched Ric Flair and Michael Hayes.
It was worse than them.
What do you want?
You are correct. It was worse than them. And he promised to send him crying on his big brother's shoulder. And the wrestling on this show was energetic.
That's a good word.
None of it was particularly good, but they tried hard. And this hour flew by.
I love this hour. It's a great hour of television, everybody.
Yes, it was the best 40 minutes of an hour wrestling show I've watched.
Actually, the even the network broadcast, they edited out commercials, it's still 50-plus minutes.
I think it was 42, actually.
Really?
Yep, but I fell asleep.
I could have sworn my thing.
It was 50. It was 46 minutes.
I'll go find out right now for everybody.
A race.
World Class 43, everybody.
Vault.
Did you notice the kid sitting in the front row, the little Hispanic kid, looked exactly like Ed in San Antonio when he was about 14?
I did not.
Maybe that was Robert Toe. 1982, episode 43, 46 minutes.
That's what I just said.
I guess I was
October
wrong.
14, 1982, everybody. Up on...
I say 46. Well,
I was 10 years old.
Yeah,
Good Lord.
I had just turned 7.
me too. How about that? All right, everybody, that's the show. Let's play one last classic before we
This
wrap
is
it
the
up.
longest
here
show we've
tonight.
ever done, isn't it?
Oh, no. Were you not here for the Christmas shows?
Okay, those don't count.
Hour 36 we're at.
What?
We're at an hour 36.
Let's get this going. Speaking of Christmas, what does Dave want from Santa wish list?
I don't really want anything. I just want peace on earth, goodwill, and
A man was talking on the phone.
Fuck the bullshit.
2 dudes got in the car for a chat.
Okay.
They said they needed the title, and it was about that money.
Shit.
What in the hell was that? Somebody else walked past.
What do you say?
We had a multiracial crew discussing titties and ass.
Okay.
The guy in a shirt that said Rebel Gay. I believe the announcers refer to this as Ultimate Toe Jam. Fuck, motherfucker! Fuck you! Men argued on the street. A bus drove by. I believe one of these men was named Cheese. I believe Dope and Creed. Men shouted at each other. They were willing to fight.
But they threw him into the trunk of the car and then just ran away.
Another man came up and said, I got you.
Okay.
And Vinny,
I was fine with the gunplay.
they all want to get that money. Now, positives, large-breasted honeys.
Okay.
Something about serving candy-ass motherfuckers. It just got real, and men shot guns at each other.
I don't give a shit. It's a thrill to be shot at.
I believe they said that it must be a great adrenaline hunt.
Okay.
Who's who hates who,
Who's on whose side?
who's on whose side. All right, Vinny.
Just as fast as you can go. Bam, bam, bam. Die tonight if they don't get it together. Bam, bam, bam.
Boot cowboy wearing mother...
Bam, bam, bam.
And take this money from us, man.
Bam, bam, bam.
Now, let me get this straight. Are you sure that Uncle Murda came out? No. Okay. Because when I watched the show.
I just want peace on earth. I just want peace on earth, goodwill.
There we go, everybody. The original Hood Justice by our buddy Lewis. All right, well, we're out of here, everybody.